The marble floors of the Plaza Hotel gleamed under the harsh camera lights as Alexander Sterling stepped up to the podium, his jaw tight with barely contained frustration. The press conference had been scheduled to discuss his company's latest acquisition, but as usual, the vultures wanted blood instead of business. "Mr. Sterling, when can we expect you to settle down?" The question came from a sharp-eyed reporter in the front row, her pen poised like a weapon. Alex's green eyes flashed dangerously. 32 years old and worth more than most small countries. He'd built his tech empire from nothing, yet here they were, treating him like some bachelor prize at a charity auction. "Any truth to the rumors about you and Senator Morrison's daughter?" Another voice. Another predator circling. "What about the oil heiress from Texas? Sources say you two were quite cozy at the Met Gala." The questions pelted him like hail, each one more invasive than the last. His PR team stood frozen against the wall, probably calculating the damage in real time. Alex felt his control slipping, that dangerous impulsiveness that had made him billions threatening to surface. "I'm already married." The words exploded from his mouth like a gunshot. The room fell silent so suddenly that the hum of the air conditioning became deafening. Camera flashes froze mid-burst. Even the hotel staff stopped moving. Alex's heart hammered against his ribs. What had he just done? Where is she? The blonde journalist's eyebrow arched with predatory interest. Panic flooded his system. His eyes swept the room desperately, searching for an escape route that didn't exist. That's when he saw her, partially hidden behind a marble pillar and what looked like the world's most unconvincing fake palm tree. She had auburn hair escaping from a messy bun, thick-rimmed glasses, and a wrinkled blazer that screamed overworked journalist. She was scribbling furiously in a notepad while balancing a dangerously full coffee cup, completely absorbed in her work. Perfect. Without thinking, which his business partners would argue was both his greatest asset and his fatal flaw, Alex strode across the lobby with the confidence of a man who had never heard the word no. "There you are, sweetheart." The woman looked up, startled. Her green eyes went wide behind her glasses, and coffee sloshed dangerously close to the rim of her cup. "I'm sorry, what?" But Alex was already there, his arms sliding around her waist with practiced ease. Cameras swiveled toward them like heat-seeking missiles, and he could hear the rapid-fire clicking of shutters. "My wife," he declared, pulling her closer. She smelled like vanilla and something else, something that reminded him of late nights and determination. "Sorry we're late, honey. Traffic was terrible." The woman's press badge read Maya Brooks, Tech Tribune, and she was staring at him like he'd just declared himself the king of Mars. "Your wife?" Her voice came out as a strangled whisper. The cameras were closing in. Alex could feel the weight of 50 pairs of eyes, the hungry anticipation of the press corps smelling fresh blood. His empire, his carefully constructed public image, everything hung in the balance of the next few seconds. "Kiss me," he murmured urgently, his voice low enough that only she could hear. His trademark smile never wavered, but his eyes were pleading. "Please, I'll explain everything. Just play along." Maya Brooks had covered corporate scandals, startup disasters, and tech meltdowns that had destroyed careers overnight. She'd interviewed senators, CEOs, and at least 3 people who claimed to have invented cryptocurrency. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared her for this moment. Alexander Sterling's lips touched hers in front of 50 cameras and the entire New York press corps. The kiss was supposed to be for show, a quick peck to sell the lie. Instead, it felt like lightning striking twice in the same place. Maya's notepad tumbled from her fingers, but somehow her death grip on the coffee cup kept it intact. When they broke apart, the room erupted. Questions flew like bullets. Camera flashes created a strobe light effect that made Maya's head spin. Someone in the back was actually applauding. "What have you just done?" Maya whispered, her lips still tingling from the contact. Alex's trademark confident smile flickered, revealing something raw and terrified underneath. "I have absolutely no idea, but I think we're about to find out together." The next 24 hours passed in a blur of chaos that would have made a hurricane jealous. Maya stared at her laptop screen in her cramped studio apartment, watching herself kiss Alexander Sterling for the 100th time. The video had gone viral overnight. #SterlingWife was trending on Twitter. Instagram was flooded with speculation about the mysterious woman who had captured Manhattan's most eligible bachelor, Maya Brooks. From unknown journalist to tech mogul's secret wife in one kiss, screamed the headline on page 6. She groaned and buried her face in her hands. Her press credentials were probably worthless now. Her editor at Tech Tribune was probably planning her professional funeral, somewhere in his penthouse. Alexander Sterling was probably regretting every life choice that had led to yesterday's disaster. Her phone hadn't stopped buzzing since 6 in the morning. Reporters, gossip bloggers, and at least 3 talk show producers had somehow gotten her number. Her tiny apartment felt like a prison cell. The doorbell rang. Maya shuffled to the door in her NYU sweatshirt and pajama pants, expecting Mrs. Tratt Patterson with another complaint about her late-night typing. Instead, she found herself face-to-face with Alex Sterling himself, looking annoyingly perfect in a charcoal suit despite the early hour. "We need to talk," he said, holding up 2 coffee cups. "I brought bribery. How did you get my address?" Maya asked, though she stepped aside to let him in. "I'm a tech mogul. I have resources." Alex paused, looking suddenly uncertain. That sounded creepy, didn't it? "I asked your editor, professionally, not creepily." Maya's tiny apartment had never felt smaller. Alex Sterling, who probably owned buildings taller than her entire block, was standing in her living room looking like he'd stepped out of a magazine ad. Meanwhile, she looked like she'd been hit by a truck carrying yesterday's news. "Nice place," Alex said, and he actually seemed to mean it. "Very cozy." "It's a shoebox with delusions of grandeur," Maya replied, accepting the coffee. It was from Joe Coffee, which probably cost more than our weekly grocery budget. "What do you want, Mr. Sterling?" "Alex, and I want to fix this mess I've created." He ran a hand through his dark hair, the first crack in his polished facade. "Look," I panicked. "The press has been hounding me for months about my love life, treating me like some prize bull at auction. Just wanted them to stop, so you decided to drag me into your personal soap opera." Maya's voice was sharper than she intended. But she was tired of being pushed around by powerful men who thought the world was their playground. "I know how this looks. Rich guy uses random woman as a prop, but that's not what happened." Set down his coffee and faced her directly. "You could have exposed me. You could have pushed me away, told everyone I was lying, but you didn't. Why?" Maya considered lying, but something in his eyes stopped her. "Because you look terrified. I've been terrified plenty of times. I know what it feels like, too. Be cornered." The honesty hung between them like a bridge neither was sure they should cross. "The story's everywhere now," Alex continued. "My stock prices actually went up because investors think I'm settling down. The press is digging into your background. This isn't going away. What are you suggesting?" Alex took a deep breath. "A business arrangement. We fake a relationship. For a few months. Long enough for the media frenzy to die down. You get exclusive insider access to Sterling Industries for your articles. I get the press off my back about my love life." Maya stared at him. "You want me to pretend to be your wife? Girlfriend? We can say we were keeping the marriage thing private, but it slipped out. People love a good love story." His green eyes were intense, almost hypnotic. 6 months. Full access to my company, my world. The kind of stories that win Pulitzer Prizes. "And what do you get out of it, besides some peace and quiet?" Alex's smile was sharp as broken glass. "Revenge." "Revenge?" Maya's coffee cup paused halfway to her lips. Alex's expression darkened. "Sterling Industries is being targeted by a hostile takeover. My own board members are questioning my judgment, my stability. I think a bachelor CEO is a liability in family-oriented markets." He began pacing her small living room like a caged predator. "But a married man? A man with a stable relationship? That's someone they can trust with their investments? So I'm not just a fake girlfriend. I'm a business strategy. You're a solution to both our problems." Alex stopped pacing and fixed her with that intense stare that probably made boardrooms quake. "I need stability to save my company." You need access to save your career. We both need this story to go away on our terms. Maya studied his face, looking for the lie she was certain had to be there. Rich men didn't just show up at struggling journalists' apartments offering mutually beneficial arrangements. But Alex Sterling wasn't just any rich man, and she was desperate enough to consider almost anything. What exactly would this fake relationship entail? Public appearances, few intimate dinners where we're conveniently photographed, maybe a weekend in the Hamptons. Nothing too demanding. His voice was smooth, professional, but Maya caught something else underneath, something that made her pulse quicken. In the kissing, Alex's composure cracked for just a moment. Only when absolutely necessary for appearances. 2 weeks later, Maya found herself in a midtown boutique that cost more than her annual salary. Being fitted for a dress that would accompany her to the Tech Innovation Gala, Alex's assistant, Rebecca, fluttered around her like a well-dressed butterfly. "The navy Valentino brings out your eyes," Rebecca said, adjusting the hem. Mr. Sterling specifically requested something elegant, but not flashy. Maya caught her reflection in the mirror and barely recognized herself. The woman staring back looked sophisticated, polished, like she belonged in Alex's world. It was terrifying how easily she could slip into this role. Her phone buzzed with a text from Alex. "The car will pick you up at 7. Remember, we've been secretly dating for 3 months. Fell in love over late-night conversations about tech ethics." Maya typed back, "What's my favorite color?" The response came immediately. "Green. Like your eyes when you're angry." She stared at the message, her heart doing something complicated in her chest. How had he noticed that? The gala was held at the Museum of Natural History, beneath the massive blue whale suspended from the ceiling. Maya had covered events like this before, but always from the outside, always as the observer. Now she was part of the show. Alex appeared at her side the moment she entered, devastating in a midnight blue tuxedo that probably cost more than her car. His hand settled on the small of her back, a touch that sent electricity racing up her spine. "You look incredible," he murmured, his breath warm against her ear. "You clean up pretty well yourself," Maya replied, trying to ignore the way her body responded to his proximity. They moved through the crowd like dancers who had been practicing together for years. Alex introduced her to senators, CEOs, and tech luminaries with the casual confidence of a man who owned the world. Maya found herself falling into the role effortlessly, her journalism background making small talk with powerful people feel natural. "So this is the woman who tamed the untamable Alexander Sterling," said Victoria Ashford, a steel magnate whose net worth rivaled Alex's. Her smile was sharp enough to cut diamonds. "I wouldn't say tamed," Maya replied smoothly. "More like found. Common ground." Victoria's eyes glittered with malicious interest. "How romantic. Tell me, dear, what do you see in our Alex besides his rather substantial portfolio?" Maya felt the subtle shift in the conversation, the trap being laid. This was a test, and everyone within earshot was listening for her answer. "Have you ever met someone who sees the world the way you do?" Maya's voice carried across the small group that had gathered around them. "Someone who understands that innovation isn't just about profit margins, but about changing lives. Alex doesn't just build companies, he builds possibilities." Alex's hand tightened almost imperceptibly on her back. When Maya glanced up at him, something in his expression had changed. The polite mask had slipped, revealing something raw and vulnerable. "Excuse us," Alex said abruptly, taking Maya's hand. "I'd like to steal my girlfriend for a dance." He led her onto the dance floor as the orchestra began a slow waltz. His arms encircled her waist, pulling her close enough that she could smell. His cologne, clean and expensive, and somehow perfectly him. "That was quite a performance," he said, his voice low. "Which part? The girlfriend act, or the speech about your noble intentions?" "The part where you made me sound like someone worth believing in." Maya looked up into his green eyes and saw something that made her breath catch. The practiced charm was gone, replaced by something genuine and uncertain. "Maybe you are," she said softly. They swayed together in silence, the rest of the gala fading into background noise. Maya was acutely aware of everywhere their bodies touched, of the way Alex's thumb traced small circles on her hand, of how perfectly she fit against him, Maya. His voice was rough with something that might have been desire. Yes, I think we might have a problem. Before she could ask what he meant, camera flashes exploded around them. A photographer had captured the moment, their faces inches apart, looking at each other like they were the only two people in the world. The photo would be on every gossip site by morning, but Maya couldn't bring herself to care. Because, somewhere, between the fake smiles and practiced touches, something real was happening. And that was the most dangerous development of all. The hostile takeover attempt came like a tsunami in the middle of the night. Maya woke to her phone buzzing incessantly at 3 a.m. Alex's name flashed on the screen, and she answered with a sleep-roughened voice. "Maya, I need you to come to the office. Now." The urgency in his voice cut through her drowsiness like a blade. What's wrong? Everything. Sterling Industries' headquarters at midnight was a different beast entirely. The normally bustling floors were eerily quiet, lit only by emergency lighting and the glow from Alex's corner office. Maya found him there, surrounded by legal documents, his tie loosened and his hair disheveled from running his hands through it. Blackstone Capital made their move, he said without looking up. They've been buying shares through shell companies for months. As of tonight, they control 38% of Sterling Industries. Maya sank into the chair across from his desk. How is that possible? Because I was distracted. Alex's laugh was bitter, because I was so focused on playing house with you that I missed the signs. My own board members have been feeding them information. The accusation hit Maya like a physical blow. You think I'm involved? Alex finally looked at her, and what she saw in his eyes made her stomach drop. Suspicion, doubt, the cold calculation of a man who trusted no one. You're a journalist who is struggling to make ends meet. Suddenly you have access to one of the most powerful tech companies in the world. Blackstone has been known to use unconventional methods to gather intelligence. You think I've been spying on you? Maya's voice was deadly quiet. I think it's convenient that a takeover attempt happens just as our fake relationship is making headlines. I think it's convenient that you ask so many detailed questions about company operations. Alex stood, his movements sharp with controlled anger. I think I've been played by an expert. Maya rose to face him, her own fury building like a storm. You arrogant, paranoid bastard! Do you really think I would destroy my journalistic integrity for money? Everyone has a price, Maya. I learned that lesson the hard way. Not everyone is like whatever heartless social climber broke your trust before me. The words came out harsher than she intended, but she was past caring. Some of us actually have principles. Alex's face went white. Don't pretend you know. Anything about my past, I know enough. I know that whoever she was, she did a number on you. Made you think that every woman who gets close to you is after something. Maya stepped closer, invading his personal space. But I'm not her, Alex. I'm not some gold digger or corporate spy. I'm a journalist who got caught up in your mess and tried to help. Help? Alex laughed harshly. You've been documenting everything. Every business meeting, every strategy session, every private conversation. What's that if not espionage? It's called doing my job. Maya's voice echoed through the empty office. You gave me access to write about Sterling Industries? Did you expect me to sit in the corner and look pretty? The silence that followed was deafening. Alex stared at her, his chest rising and falling with ragged breaths. Maya could see the war being fought behind his eyes, suspicion battling with something that might have been hope. Show me your notes, he said finally. What, your journalist notes? If you're innocent, show me what you've been writing. Maya's hand moved instinctively to her bag, where her notebook lay filled with observations about Sterling Industries. Not corporate secrets or stock information, but human details. The way Alex rolled up his sleeves when he was thinking. How he remembered every employee's name. The genuine passion in his voice when he talked about technology changing the world. She pulled out the notebook and placed it on his desk. Read it. All of it. Alex flipped through the pages, his expression shifting from suspicion to confusion, to something softer. Maya had filled the notebook not with business intelligence, but with character studies. Sketches of a complex man who wore his power like armor but cared deeply about the people who worked for him. This isn't corporate espionage, Alex said quietly. This is personal, Maya finished. Because somewhere along the way, this stopped being fake for me. The admission hung between them like a confession. Alex set down the notebook and looked at her with new eyes. Maya, I know. She held up a hand to stop him. You made your position clear. You think I'm a liar and a spy? Fine. Our arrangement is over. She turned to leave, but Alex's voice stopped her. Caroline Winters. Maya turned back. What? Her name was Caroline Winters? Oil money from Texas. We were engaged. Alex's voice was raw with old pain. I thought she loved me. Turned out she was feeding my business plans to her father's company. It's cost me my first major acquisition and nearly bankrupted Sterling Industries. The confession hit Maya like a physical blow. She could see the teenager he must have been, brilliant and ambitious, but naive about people's motivations. Carolyn Winters had taught him that love was just another business transaction. Alex, I swore I'd never let anyone get that close again. Never let emotions compromise my judgment. His green eyes were haunted. And then you came along with your messy hair and your terrible coffee addiction. And you made me forget why I built these walls in the first place. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. So when things got complicated, you assumed the worst. I'm sorry. The words seemed to cost him everything. I'm so goddamn sorry, Maya. You're nothing like her. You're nothing like anyone I've ever met. Before Maya could respond, Alex's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his face went ashen. It's my lawyer. The board is calling an emergency meeting. He looked at Maya with something like desperation. They're going to remove me as CEO. Without the stability narrative our relationship provided, they'll say I'm too volatile to lead the company. Maya stared at him, weighing her options. She could walk away, let him face the consequences of his suspicion alone. It would serve him right. Or she could choose love over pride. What time is the meeting? She asked. The Sterling Industries boardroom at 8 in the morning was a battlefield disguised as mahogany and leather. 12 of the most powerful people in tech sat around the polished table, their faces carefully neutral but their intentions clear. They smelled blood in the water. Alex entered alone, his shoulders straight, but tension radiating from every line of his body. Maya watched from the hallway through the glass doors, her heart hammering against her ribs. Alexander, said Richard. Blackwood, the silver-haired board chairman who had known Alex since he was a teenager. We need to discuss the company's future. By all means, Alex replied, taking his seat at the head of the table. His voice was steady, but Maya could see the white-knuckled grip he had on his pen. The Blackstone situation has revealed some concerning issues with your leadership, continued Blackwood. The board feels that perhaps it's time for a change in direction. Maya had heard enough. She pushed open the doors and walked into the room with the confidence of someone who belonged there. Every head turned toward her. I'm sorry I'm late, she said, settling into the empty chair beside Alex. Traffic was terrible. Alex's eyes widened, but Maya placed her hand over his on the table and squeezed gently, a gesture that could have been for show, but felt like a promise. Miss Brooks, Blackwood said carefully, this is a private board meeting. She stays, Alex said firmly, finding his voice. Maya has insights into the Blackstone situation that could be valuable. Maya smiled sweetly at the room full of powerful men who clearly wanted her gone. I've been investigating Blackstone Capital for a story. Did you know they've attempted hostile takeovers of 7 companies in the past 2 years? In every case, they had inside information provided by board members who were promised positions in the restructured companies. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. That's a serious accusation, said Margaret Chen, the only other woman on the board. It's a serious pattern, Maya replied. No. She pulled out her tablet and began swiping through documents. Shell companies registered in Delaware. Unusual stock. Purchases timing exactly with Sterling Industries' quarterly reports. Communications between Blackstone executives and at least 3 people in this room. The silence that followed was deafening. Maya could practically hear the sound of careers imploding. You're bluffing, said David Morrison, a younger board member, who had always seemed ambitious. Too ambitious, am I? Maya's smile turned sharp. David, would you like me to read the email you sent to Blackstone's CEO last Tuesday? The one where you outlined Alex's expansion plans for the Asian markets? Morrison's face went white as fresh snow. Now, Alex said, his voice carrying the authority that had built an empire. I believe we were discussing the company's future. I have a proposal. Over the next hour, Maya watched Alex dismantle the conspiracy with surgical precision. The board members who had betrayed him were given a choice: resign quietly or face public exposure and criminal charges. Blackstone's takeover attempt crumbled without their inside information. By the time the meeting ended, Alex had not only retained control of his company, but strengthened his position. The remaining board members, chastened and impressed by his handling of the crisis, unanimously voted to increase his decision-making autonomy. As the last board member filed out, Alex and Maya found themselves alone in the conference room. The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the polished table. "You came back," Alex said quietly. "I told you I would. Even after I accused you of being a spy. Even after I let my paranoia nearly destroy what we had." Maya turned to face him fully. "You were scared? I understand scared." Alex moved closer, his green eyes intense. "What we have, Maya, it stopped being fake weeks ago, didn't it? The moment you kissed me in that hotel lobby," she admitted. "Maybe even before that. When I saw you panic, and you looked so human despite all the money and power." "I love you," Alex said, the words coming out like a confession. "I love your terrible morning hair and your addiction to overpriced coffee. I love how you see the world, how you make me want to be better than I am. I love that you chose to save me even when I didn't deserve it." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "I love you too, even when you're being an arrogant, paranoid billionaire who thinks everyone is out to get him, especially then. Alex cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away the tears she didn't realize had fallen. "Marry me. For real this time. Is that a business proposal or a romantic one?" "Both. Always both with us." His smile was soft, vulnerable in a way that made her heart ache. "Marry me because I can't imagine building a future without you. Marry me because you make me brave enough to trust again." Maya pretended to consider it, tilting her head thoughtfully. "What's the benefits package like?" Alex laughed, the sound rich and warm. "Comprehensive health coverage, unlimited vacation time, and exclusive access to my heart for the rest of our lives. Throw in editorial control over Sterling Industries, press releases, and you've got a deal. Done." This time when Alex kissed her, there were no cameras, no audience, no pretense. Just two people who had found something real in the middle of an elaborate lie. 6 months later, Maya stood in the Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom, surrounded by flowers and fairy lights and all the people who mattered most to them. She wore her grandmother's vintage lace dress, simple and elegant and perfect. Alex waited for her at the altar in a midnight blue tuxedo, his eyes bright with unshed tears. As she walked down the aisle, Maya thought about that first kiss, the panic and desperation that had brought them together, how something born from a lie had grown into the most honest thing in her life. "You look beautiful," Alex whispered. She reached him. "You clean up pretty well yourself," she replied, their old joke carrying new weight. The ceremony was simple, their vows heartfelt and real. When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Alex kissed her with the same intensity as that first day, but now it tasted like forever. Later, as they danced their first dance as a married couple, Maya caught sight of their reflection. In the ballroom's mirrors, it looked like they belonged together, like they had always been meant to find each other. "Any regrets?" Alex murmured against her ear. Maya thought about the question seriously. The past year had been a whirlwind of corporate intrigue, media attention, and learning to love someone whose trust didn't come easily. It hadn't always been simple or comfortable. "It's just one," she said finally. Alex pulled back to look at her, concern flickering in his eyes. "I regret not spilling that coffee on you the first day we met. Would have made a much better story." Alex threw back his head and laughed, the sound echoing through the ballroom and filling Maya's heart with perfect contentment. They danced until the stars came out, surrounded by the people they loved. building a life that was real and complicated and absolutely worth fighting for. The Eon D, like this video if the story touched your heart. Subscribe for more emotional tales and share with someone who believes in the power of true love. And let us know in the comments. We love connecting with our global community of romance lovers.